Councillor Mulvey, and for the kind words, and also for the support for the PPN. And I know there's your other elected member colleagues out there who also have been a great support over the year. I just now like to move on to the presentation from the Secretariat, and this is going to be delivered by one of our newest Secretariat members, Paul Tolan, who represents the Sligo Drumcliff Municipal District. And Paul's really just going to give you a little bit of a flavour of some of the activities that we did across 2020, some COVID focused and some just our general operations, and then to finish off with a little bit of an insight into where we hope to be going into 2021.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, as Sarah said, I'm just going to have a quick look over some of the work of 2020 work and some plans for 2021 for the Sligo PPN. Just to give you a quick rundown, in terms of the Sligo PPN, currently it has 437 member groups. 388 of these are from the community and voluntary pillar, 13 are from the environment pillar, and 36 are from the social inclusion pillar. Broken down into municipal districts, there's 163 in the borough of district of Sligo Strandhill, 172 in the municipal district of Ballymote and Tubbercurry, and 101 in the Sligo Drumcliff municipal district. Nationally, there's 15,599 member groups, with 928 community representatives on 424 boards and committees. In terms of Sligo PPN's COVID-19 focused actions, because of the PPN's existing database in connection with community groups, the network was able to immediately reach out to all member groups with a view to forming an emergency response register to support community groups to provide essential services to the most vulnerable in the community. This process started immediately as lockdown was announced in March, and in less than a week, 84 groups had registered. This meant that when the official community call was launched and community forums formed at county level, in Sligo we were already prepared to be able to work with Sligo County Council to respond to callers as soon as the county helpline was launched. Community groups were incorporated on an interactive map, as you can see there, detailing the services they could provide, as well as listings made available to helpline staff. This effort was reflected across the country, and the Department of Rural and Community Development have publicly highlighted the role of PPNs in ensuring the effectiveness of local community coordination. Sligo PPN were also a member of the County Community Response Forum, which is a collaboration of key local organisations who work together to coordinate the COVID-19 response at county level. The PPN also sat on a number of working groups with partners such as Sligo Leader, Sligo County Council and Sligo Volunteer Centre under the forum, dealing with issues such as allocating travel permission to volunteers, sourcing and distributing PPE, and supporting community group reopening. Some of our other COVID-19 activities. Over the first lockdown, a whole new section was developed within our PPN website dedicated to COVID-19. And this contained up-to-date official guidance and information on the Sligo Community Response Forum, an interactive map featuring all listed emergency response groups, and an interactive map and listing of all open businesses. And as a second wave of COVID-19 registered in October, we have been working to try and keep this content as up-to-date as possible under changing restrictions. We noticed that very quickly organisations and communities were hit with a barrage of information and often found it hard to know where to go and look for the advice most suitable to them. So through the website Sligo PPN attempted to pull all information together under a series of key headings. And as calls began to come through to the helpline, there was a high demand for information on local businesses and essential services. Sligo PPN worked with the Sligo Business Innovation District and Sligo County Council to map and list key services that were open, noting where possible adaptations to service were and amended opening times as well. The PPN actually were overwhelmed at the immediate and huge response of the Sligo community to step up and help those most in need, as we all adapted to life under COVID-19. While we knew that none of the volunteers who made such a difference in the lives of local people did it for recognition or even thanks, we felt that it was important to try and capture and preserve the huge contribution that the community sector did make as soon as this crisis changed life as we know it. There is no doubt that the experience of the first lockdown would have been even scarier and more isolating and had more of a negative impact on the health of many people. were it not for the efforts of community volunteers. And we believe that this effort should be acknowledged, recorded, and kept as a reminder to all. Sligo PPN set up the website Step Up for Sligo as a portal for people to send us stories about their experience of volunteering, both formally and informally under COVID-19. The Sligo champion then made contact with the PPN about the project, and these stories were translated into a pull-out keepsake edition sponsored by Sligo County Council and Sligo Volunteer Centre. The PPN also commissioned IT Sligo to undertake a piece of national research looking at the societal and economic impact of volunteering under COVID-19. And this was a unique collaboration. We were working with IT Sligo on producing the report. Some of our looking at some of our non-COVID related operations. The PPN, Sligo PPN, has a growing social media profile. We work daily to promote the activities of our member groups. We also work to keep our website updated and circulate a quarterly newsletter. The PPN also subscribes to the funding digest developed by the Wheel. We distribute the full digest to all members, as well as dissecting the document to promote individual funding rounds as they open. The PPN also works closely with Sligo County Council and Sligo Leader to promote locally administered funding rounds as well. We have made a number of submissions to policy and strategy development and have recently hosted an information session on the Airgrid North Connacht project, with an upcoming information session on the N17 Knock to Colooney project, which will help the community better understand the proposal and how to get their views heard. Looking at some of our ongoing activities, the Environment College of the PPN organised and hosted an online environment series which featured key speakers presenting on current environmental priorities, allowing for questions and answers. The initiative was intended to help PPN community representatives to learn more about key environmental issues that would be relevant at the decision-making table. Moving on, Sligo PPN has also commissioned Kids Own to develop a brand new children's book publication and manifesto, which meaningfully reflects the voices of Sligo-based children and their hopes for the future. In the light of the current circumstances with COVID, we believe it is vital to garner stories from children about their experience of COVID-19 and how this has impacted on their lives. And this will be framed under the broader constructs of health and well-being, local government, and sense of community, which connects with the broader objectives of the PPN. And through the manifesto, the children will put forward visions for the future and recommendations which will contribute to the overall well-being vision for the county. And this will give the project strong legacy for local policy and infrastructure, and support children to have a role as change makers and visionaries with the power to have a positive influence on their community. In terms of community representatives training, the year started off with a networking and training session for all PPN representatives to facilitate them to sit comfortably at the decision-making table, to understand the PPN and associate structures, and to put together recommendations for committee organisers that would facilitate the community voice to be heard. We'll be building on this with representatives training from Social Justice Ireland in December. And in 2021, there's to be a national rollout of PPN representative training commissioned by the Department of Rural and Community Development to help support reps to fulfil their commitments. Just looking at the community wellbeing division, each PPN is charged, throughout the county, is charged with developing a county wellbeing division, wellbeing vision. So Sligo PPN have held consultations at this stage with around 1,000 people. We're nearing the end of the consultation phase and beginning to document all the feedback to prepare for putting together our vision. We've used a variety of methods to engage with people, from public workshops, online surveys, targeted discussions, and by tapping into the expertise of partner organisations. In reviewing the initial responses, we identified two key gaps, which were children and people living with disabilities. So we're now working with local organisations and community members to ensure these voices are reflected. Once the consultations are complete, the Secretariat will work with PPN staff and representatives and consultants to create a series of key documents, including the core County Sligo vision for wellbeing, the creation of PPN mandates for PPN representatives to take to decision-making tables, and a detailed index report that can inform future planning in terms of the development of the wellbeing programme. At national level, the Department of the Rural and Community Development are pulling together a report on the work and findings of these wellbeing initiatives, which is to be presented to the Office of Taoiseach. In September 2020, Sligo PPN undertook a community needs analysis to find out how we could best support our member groups over the next 6 months in terms of training and information. Some of the key issues to emerge from the analysis included funding, governance, becoming more environmentally friendly, social media support and group promotion. It is our aim to try and ensure that something is in place to address all the ideas that you prioritised. We're therefore going to use the findings of this analysis in a number of ways to identify existing training and information programs that respond to issues highlighted and to highlight and promote these to members for uptake. And then to share the findings with key local organisations as well, some of whose core function is to deliver community sports. And some of these organisations include Sligo Leader Partnership Company, Sligo County Council, Sligo Volunteer Centre and IT Sligo. And we'll work with these organisations to see if they are in a position to put in place any of the responses. And where needs are not addressed by any of these approaches, Sligo PPN will look to deliver training options directly by sourcing external support and facilitators. The needs analysis report contains a list of existing community training opportunities that are currently being delivered. This was something we researched on your behalf, and as well as the information being contained in the report, we also continue to promote these training opportunities via our newsletter, email and social media. Sligo PPN are also directly delivering a social media training package for groups, which is a combination of video tutorials, step-by-step guides and one-to-one mentor clinics. We have engaged the Digital Marketing Institute to deliver this for us, and all content will be tailored to directly respond to issues you raised. It will also be delivered in a way that recognises how time-poor community members are, that there isn't a team of social media experts on hand, that for many of you this is a brand new way of working. Phase 1, which is the tutorials and guides, will be done in 2020. Phase 2, which is the mentor clinics, will be done in 2021, as we wanted to wait until a point in which groups were operational and able to think about engaging in with these kind of supports. We're also working with Sligo Environmental Network to produce a series of simple ideas and initiatives that every group, regardless of your primary nature, can undertake to become more environmentally friendly. Whatever kind of group you are, from sports to active retirement, there are easy changes and improvements that you can make so that the way you operate on a daily basis has a less negative impact on the environment. And Sligo Environmental Network will support interested groups to take these steps. Sligo PPN are also looking to develop a guidebook for residents associations with a view to organise facilitators to work with interested residents associations in 2021. We're also working with partners in Sligo Volunteer Centre to put together a programme which supports groups to undertake a community needs analysis of their own, which is an important tool for sourcing external funding streams. And as mentioned before, the PPN is once again subscribing to the Wheel Funding Digest on behalf of the Sligo community. This allows us to remain informed about a whole range of revenue streams, and as well as circling the digest to our members, we also extract individual funding rounds and promote them across a range of platforms. The PPN will also continue to work closely with funding bodies such as Sligo County Council and Sligo Leader Partnership to make sure that our members are made aware of all the local funding opportunities open to them. And Sligo Leader Partnership also kindly shared with us the Great Handbook that was produced for the recent funding seminar, and this is now available to all members on the PPN website. In terms of national networking, Sligo PPN were elected to represent the national PPN network on the National Advisory Group hosted by the Department of Rural and Community Development. This group deals with the oversight of PPN operations and is currently charged with a national structural review of public participation in Ireland to inform how the networks will evolve into the future. It is the first time that the Northwest has been represented on these national structures and ensures that the needs of the community sector in our area is reflected. Sligo PPN also have a role on the recently formed Department of Rural and Community Development National Communications Group, which is charged with developing an overarching publicity campaign to raise the profile of PPNs across the country. We all recognise that one of the limiting factors to PPN effectiveness has been the lack of awareness from organisations and sectors of the community alike as to what they do and what they can achieve, and it's hoped that a national campaign will address this. A full review of the PPN handbook has taken place and a revised edition was launched last week. And you can find a copy of this on the PPN website. The handbook is intended to act as a guide for all PPN operation, and it's divided into sections to be used by various PPN stakeholders. National Secretariat Network has been established with one Secretariat member nominated from each PPN. The Department of Rural and Community Development have engaged a facilitator to work with the group and to help them develop, and this group has been very active to date. The National Resource Worker meetings of the PPN take place every quarter to allow workers to share ideas, concerns and information. While they're normally held in Dublin, these have been taking place recently online and allow for the sharing of good practice, concerns and policy information. In addition to the national meetings, Northwest regional meetings are also held every 2 months, attended by resource workers and Secretariat representatives to allow for discussion around participation and engagement in the Northwest. This year, a number of elections have taken place online. Claire Heslin has been elected to represent the PPN on the reformed Disability Consultative Committee. Claire was nominated by Cranmore Community Co-op. The first meeting is yet to be scheduled, but we welcome Claire and we're sure she will make a very positive contribution. We will also be starting up the Disability Interest Group to allow a range of disability groups to work with Claire and to feed into the community or into the committee. Oriole Robinson has been elected to take up an environment seat on the board of Sligo Leader Partnership Company. Oriole was nominated by Sligo Environmental Network, and this is the first time that the PPN structure has been used actually for a nomination to Sligo Leader, and we hope it will help to build even stronger connections between the two organisations. We have received 3 nominations for the available seats on the Northwest Regional Drug and Alcohol Task Force, and these nominations have been sent to the Task Force Committee. There's still a number of elections to fulfil in 2020, including the Heritage Forum and the Place Names Committee. And the PPN now have representation across 14 committees in Sligo, and you can read all about these alongside the representatives working on your behalf and their reports on the PPN website, and we'll be sending out links to this information. This slide here that's just in the presentation is just an example of some of the reporting from our Strategic Policy Committee representatives. I won't go through it now, but the full reports from our representatives can be found on the PPN website, and all of our representatives are also very open to hearing from PPN members about key community issues that they would like to be raised at the decision-making table. We'll just looking then at some of the 2021 plans. We know that for many groups, even getting restarted in 2021 is going to be a challenge. Some groups may never get back together, and for those that do, the way that they may, that they operate may have to change. Sligo PPN will be working with the organisation one step closer on a campaign in early 2021, which helps to raise the profile of a selection of groups, encouraging new membership and allowing them to promote their work across the community via online platforms. It was the intention of the PPN to host the County Awards programme in September 2020. This was to be done in partnership with the IT Sligo and was due to take place in the Knocknarea Arena. Never before has the community sector deserved a celebration more than post-2020. Now we hope to host an awards night that will give our members the chance to celebrate, the chance to look back on 2020 and all they've achieved in keeping the most vulnerable in Sligo safe and simply to reconnect as well. And while the awards themselves will be an added bonus, this process is really about bringing the network back together, allowing groups to reconnect and promoting group activities as well. We'll continue to roll out the interventions to respond to feedback in our needs analysis. There will be a focus on ensuring groups receive adequate funding, information and supports, implementing phase 3 of a digital skills programme and environmental supports for groups. The PPN had scheduled a seminar in partnership with IT Sligo and the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland to highlight the options that were available to everyday people in terms of moving towards a more renewable energy focus. This seminar is going to be rescheduled for 2021, and it will explore the different alternative energy initiatives open to people, what they cost, what options are best for specific needs, and how they have a positive environmental impact. Sligo PPN will be working with the Department of Rural Community Development to roll out a comprehensive training programme for all our community representatives in 2021, and the nationally developed programme is currently being piloted in the southeast with a view to enhance and roll out to the rest of the country in 2021. The PPN will also be bringing online campaign experts to work with a limited number of groups as they look to restart in 2021. Groups will be supported to create promotional videos that tell the story of their activity, raise their profile, help engage new members, and which can also be used as groups source new funding streams and supports. And these videos will also actually feature as part of the PPN awards. April 2021 will see the end of term for a number of our current Secretariat members, and the build up to the selection process will start in Q1. And after 6 years in operation, there'll be a national review of the PPN structures, which will look at best practice, but also issues that are facing PPNs in terms of ensuring effective and meaningful public participation. This will look at the PPNs themselves, but importantly, all the supporting structures under the, which PPNs operate, including current committees at both county and national level. And the Department of Housing actually have announced that they are to do a full review of the Strategic Policy Committee schemes and how they operate. And at a recent presentation to the PPN network, the department advised that PPN input would be central to the review, in particular the experience of PPN representatives at the decision-making table. So that's it from me in relation to the work from 2020 and the plans for 2021. If you have any comments or any ideas for projects that you would like the PPN Secretariat to consider in 2021, just please email the ppn@sligococo.ie. You can also view our full annual report there on the link, which we'll probably send out to everybody anyway. As Sarah mentioned earlier, what we're going to have now is we're going to have 5 minutes for any questions that you may have. And again, just to reiterate, we realize that we might not get to everything in this time, but anything we don't get to, we will respond to in a follow-up.